Hello everybody, welcome to the Sitecore sessions. This is the first one of this year. If you don't know who I am, my name's Alex, and me and my team at Woodrow Mercer focus on Sitecore related recruitment. We started the Sitecore sessions last year to sort of give back a little bit to the community. This event wouldn't be possible without our sponsors Mando and our lovely speakers Dan, Martin and Mikey, and their fantastic content for tonight. Before I hand over to Dan, who's going to be talking a little bit about AI and Sitecore, a little bit of housekeeping. The fire exits are to the left before the lift. You don't want to go towards the end over there, it'll be really long routes. And finally, when it comes to drinks and food, keep these stickers because otherwise you'll have to pay for yourself, really. You don't want that. And that's pretty much it from me for now. So I'm going to hand it over to Dan, who's going to start this presentation, and then we'll have about a 5-minute interval where we'll hand over to Martin, who's going to be talking about Helix and version 9. And then we'll have a sort of about 40-minute break where we have food as well, and then we'll round up the night with Mike Edwards. Thanks. Dan?
How's everyone doing? So I'm Dan. I know quite a few of you, but we thought we'll do a bit something different today instead of just regular Sitecore. What is Sitecore doing? How do we implement stuff and that kind of thing? So one of the key things that we've been working at Mando is artificial intelligence as well. So other than doing the usual, website delivery, doing the usual Sitecore projects, personalization, and all of that, one of the things we've been working on is AI. There's been a lot about it going around on how that works, what that means, how that helps user journeys, clients, marketers, and that kind of whole thing. But I guess the main thing about us is that IA works closely with experience of a user on a website, and it works well on how tasks are accomplished on a website. Clearly, this is something that Sitecore itself are doing. So we know about Cortex. It's been announced at the symposium last year. Coming out with version 9.1. I know there's people who are writing blogs about it, even in this room. So it's clearly something that's on everyone's radar going forward, but what does it really mean and what does it do? So while we wait for getting our hands really deep into Cortex, I thought, what if we look into what Sitecore themselves are using? So cognitive services. Has anyone used them? Does anyone know what cognitive services are? No? Silence? Oh, there's someone. Okay. So does anyone remember TAIA? I think it was sometime last year. So Microsoft created a bot on Twitter, and that would respond to people tweeting back at it. And in less than a day, Twitter taught this bot to be racist, and not just racist. And I had really difficulty to pick one tweet to just show an example of what happened. But this is the least offensive one. It went really bad. But basically, this bot started from, "Hi, what's your name?" or "Hi, what are you doing?" And it ended up with stuff like this. So yeah, Microsoft has been working on this, I think, for a couple of years now, and this was their first venturing it out in the public. But realistically, what are they? So they're a set of APIs, basically. There's a huge mindset behind them, but they are categorized in these 4 sections. So we've got stuff for vision, image recognition, face recognition, and that kind of thing. And we've got speech, basically speech, it speaks for itself. Language, more in the terms of written stuff, although it works quite well with speech. I've got some slides to show about that. Knowledge, so that is more in regards to data mining, and searches, so doing intelligent searches and that kind of things. Why would we be using them as opposed to other stuff? I think the 3 main tasks are these that are on the screen right now. So they're really easy. They're REST APIs. We all know how to use REST APIs. They're pretty straightforward to use. They're quite flexible. So yeah, most of us work on .NET, and that's how we build our platforms. But in the case for the more front-end enthusiasts around us, they can be used through Node.js or any of that sort. and they're tested, so they've been around for a while. There's a lot on Stack Overflow about them. They're quite documented quite well, and they integrate, and they've been used across multiple companies at the moment. The key factor about that is that one bot of this can fill out multiple use cases, can fill out multiple technologies, and can fill out multiple channels. So you can do something like journey planning, which is just a use case you might have for specific customers, but you might use multiple bots to implement this. So you might have QR codes, you might have language recognition, but then you can also expose this through multiple channels. It's a bit limited right now what the channels are in place, the out-of-the-box channels, but it is open source. You can code against it and you can develop your own tasks to build it out. So to implement that itself, it's pretty straightforward in regards to what it is. Basically, you've got the dev on one side, you've got the channels living all in the middle, so whether that's Slack or Skype, and then the API is just living behind it. First thing that you need to do is just register them. So anyone that has a Microsoft account can go to dev.botframework.com and sign up. And there you'll be asked for a few details about the bot that you'll be building, an icon if you require, and a URL where there's some maybe privacy policy and that kind of thing, but it should be pretty straightforward. It just takes a couple of minutes to sign up. And once you get to that, you get obviously the build. And I've got a small demo so I can go around that for a bit. But basically it's Visual Studio 2015, which we all have probably. There's a bot application template that Microsoft provides, so you can download that as a base. And it has all the tools necessary to then implement your business logic in it. And Microsoft Azure App Service to then host it itself, because you can host it anywhere else. And they have templates already in place where you can host it according to the predefined bot. And I'll show you a bit of that. And then basically distribute. So for example, it's been distributed over a web chat, Facebook, and a Skype at all the same framework, just feeding into the multiple channels. So that one time. So I have a pretty straightforward one, and I started off by installing Habitat. We all know Habitat, we all got it up. So we thought, what would be the best way to show that this can be extensible among different frameworks? So we started with the FAQ module, which comes out of the box with Sitecore. And we've got a list of FAQs basically here, which are the question and the answer itself. And as we know, in one of the pages for Habitat itself, there's an FAQ page which lists all down. So that's all fine. Then we hopped into Visual Studio. Now, apologies, I did not follow Habitat rules or Helix rules at all. So ignore that, please. I put it in the project. I know, it's not supposed to go there. So basically, the really custom part for this is this botsync class. All this is doing is getting the FAQs from Sitecore. It is literally a loop to that node and getting them all and putting them in a list. That's the generic part for Sitecore. That's the specific part for Sitecore where I'm creating a loop for it. We've created then this Q&A maker sync class, which basically gets the knowledge base for it. I'll just go into the knowledge base for it in a second. But what we're using here is something that Microsoft have called Q&A maker. It's a framework that allows for a question and an answer to be gathered in a knowledge base, basically. So I've got this class that goes through getting all the knowledge base that is up on Microsoft. It checks it against the items that are in Sitecore by using the GUID, as we've put that in the metadata, and then it's updated by adding new ones, updates the current ones, or deleting them. So this is pretty straightforward generic class. There we've got the usual models for each item, so we've got the FAQ item, the item to add, item to delete, and that kind of thing. But that was it. Other than that, we've got the QMA maker itself. So this is where I was showing you signing up to it. So all it is basically a portal where you can go and there's heavy documentation about it, but you can also create your own services. So I went here and created just FAQ. And this is uploading all my FAQs that are coming up from the Sitecore. So the ones that are currently here are all the ones that I have currently in Sitecore themselves. Uploads the question, it uploads the answer, and then there's metadata behind them that is linking them, but they're not available to display. There's a test page as well where you can chat with the bot, so you can test it and ask it questions and start to instruct it to maybe answer back on questions differently. If someone is asking about templates, they might want to ask about layout as well. So if a question covers both, that might be a good place where it can be tailored to it. And then I've got a Azure service. So if this logs in, I've created a functions bot, which was again pretty straightforward, but in one of the settings for it, the Q&A maker gives you if I show you the code, it gives you a knowledge base code and a subscription ID, and that goes into Azure, so they are both linked together. So what Azure has provided me, if I can just show you quickly, under AI and Web App Bot, it basically gives me a template here. So it can either be a C# template, and that's where you download the bot template, and you can code it yourself in Visual Studio and upload it there. Or if you're using one of the out of the box, you can select those. So basically for this demo, I just selected the question and answer template, and it just created the whole framework for me. I just had to provide the keys to link them all both together. What we did then, what's next, which is the interesting part, I hope. The FAQ, so I've got the Helix site up, so if I pick up another question, this is how I've been spending my days, just copying content from Helix into the system and put in the question. Doesn't need to be a full question. It's the key that the intonation of the question is going to be on. So in this case, we're going to be asking about solution, and we're going to save it. Now, ideally, you would go through the whole route of, you've got a publish pipeline, it publishes on the front-end website, and at the same time, it pushes it up to Microsoft in the same, using that class that I was showing you earlier. Just to, cut a bit of corners, I just put in a quick agent that runs every minute and it syncs accordingly. So in a few seconds, I should have my new question, which was solution, right? Yeah. Now this is where we'll see if it fails or not. And there it is. No. And there it is. This is a new one that's an entry called solution, and the content I uploaded in. So that's fine. It's in the cloud. Now what? So I could implement it using any of the backend modules, but again, shortcut. They provide an iframe. So I put in the iframe in the main layout for Habitat. Put in some CSS to align it because it decided to go at the very bottom of the page, in the middle of the page. And I can basically talk to it. So if I say hi, it's going to answer me back and say hello. It's also going to tell me I haven't found an entry in the FAQ because I haven't put in an FAQ that manages hi or welcome. But if I take one of the things, so solution, so what is a solution? This should hopefully provide me back with the information I just put in. If I ask for more things, so let's say give me more information about solution. Hopefully it should figure out that it's still asking about solution, so it just give me more information, but no, it didn't. So this is where training is important. So that test screen I was showing you earlier, here, you can you can take questions and tailor them to maybe different questions that the same answer can be approved for. I think that's what I have for the demo. So what is that really in the background? So that's the Q&A maker basically. So you can upload FAQs as well. So you can give it a link to an FAQ page, and it will just map it automatically. As I've shown you, it's quite open. It's literally a set of APIs, and you can use them yourself. The Q&Amaker.ai website has a lot of information about them, and the classes I just showed you are on our Mando GitHub as well. So you can have a look at them and see if you find anything interesting. To add to this, we've done some additional things outside of my small demo, which was this calm water Facebook messenger. So similar to what I just showed you. And so all the content was in the CMS, uploaded to Q&Amaker. There was a chatbot, a Facebook bot, that was picking up this information. But having something like a Facebook bot, it needs more than just, hi, what is this and what is that. So we've added more to it, like Bing Map. In a bit, we'll ask for a postcode, and the user will be providing the postcode. Once that is in place, it will do a location search and return back that address for confirmation and start collecting that data as well. Now, there's a lot more that goes into this than just the Q&Amaker that I showed you. So basically, there's something called form flow. So you can structure how your forms interact and even maybe put in more multiple choice and more interactions for the user. There's something called LUIS, which is Language Understanding Intelligence Service, which is more capable of understanding the request of the user, both written or speech. And then there's the Bing Location Service, which allows for the search, for the location search as I was showing you earlier. This one is even open source, so you can play around with it and extend it as you need. But, tying it back into Sitecore, we've used this was on 8.2, but hopefully in 9 we can use something like XConnect. We've tied that into the Sitecore solution itself. So users who are using that bot are immediately authenticated through Facebook. So we've got their name, surname, and probably email. The same user has also logged into the website with that same email, so it is the same contact for us as we always do. So we've managed to capture that they've been interested in water quality, for example, because that was what their questions are, and we have put in bots to ask for those things, put in goals to match those kind of things. Now to add a bit more to that, it's also available for voice. So I couldn't bring an Alexa with me, but I've got Amazon Alexa on my phone installed. And as long as I have my media all up, I should be able to ask questions as I was doing there, and it should be able to translate these series back to me. So what we've done is we've built a small Alexa skill called Habitat, just to keep it in the theme. And basically, I can ask it questions that will keep on feeding back all the same information. So if I try this, let's say, Alexa, ask Habitat, what is a dictionary?
A collection of main text snippets which can be translated across languages and used in the UX. For example, on websites.
It's going to go on, but it's basically the same application. It's just a different channel that we've used. So we've used the iframe channel, we've used an Alexa skill, but they're both using the same implementation in the background, and it was just setting up. Yes, there are multiple knowledges of how to set up an Alexa skill, but the data out of the box, at a minimum, is all coming out of Sitecore. I'm almost done. So I could leave you with a quote, but I thought we'll leave with some tips that we've learned while implementing bots themselves. So test them. They work, but they have their own faults. So make sure you test them, iterate, and make sure you use them together. So as you saw, the Q&Amaker couldn't understand what I was asking it, maybe in a different question. If you plug into that LUIS, which is the language understanding, it might help it understand better what the questions are, and you don't need to test it that often because they tie in a bit better together. And analyze all the insights that come back. So it's automatically plugs into the application insights on Azure. So you've got the whole reporting tools available for you to just check on them. Then we've got the usual, how do we approach this design? So make sure you automate the basic installation, basic tasks. Don't go for the full works. Don't go and try and do the whole thing. Just try and simplify, pick the simplest solution that you have and implement that first, and then grow it out. Makes the easier thing that there is more accessible and more easy. Be more proactive. So as you saw in the bot, it was asking you for updates if you want to be kept updated. So the bot can keep updating the customer about something instead of just having the customer just keep on asking you questions. And then personalize. It's a Sitecore event. I had to put personalization in here. It has to have personalization here. So that's it. There's a list of links that are useful. I'm sure there's going to be some stuff online. Any questions?
I've been following like machine learning and things for quite some time, and one of the problems I have with machine learning is working out a use case for these things. I mean, how can we take advantage of these brilliant capabilities for our clients? I mean, you showed a great example there with the text. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's text recognition and using the database to find a suitable response. So yeah, it's one of the things.
How do we use them?
Yeah.
So I have 2 use cases. So one of our clients is using 2 of them, incidentally. One of them is using the Bing spell check. I didn't put it there, but it's underneath languages. So it does spell check for you in different languages, and it picks up even quirks about language that you might want to use if it's more formal or not. So we're validating content that is being entered by users on the front end of the website using the spell check and returning values there, instead trying to automate the service instead of having someone in the back end approving comments or something like that. The other one is image recognition. So same client has users that update a profile picture, and we need to make sure that the profile pictures adheres to specific rules. So when they upload it, we use the face recognition tool, and it checks if there's only one person in the image, if it's blurry, if it's high contrast, and that kind of thing.
Also using it as moderation.
Yeah, so we're basically using it as moderation to report back, and using it as, giving prompts to the end user before, they submit things and approve things. There's also the other side of it where, everyone has an Echo now. Everyone has a Google Mini. A lot of clients are, you don't have? Okay, Alex doesn't have one by where businesses want to go online. So, ask Alexa to check what my next train is. So I have a friend who's got a skill on Alexa that plugged it into the TfL database, and you can ask when the next Northern Line train is at Leicester Square, and we give you back that information. So it's not directly fitting into maybe a regular website, a day-to-day website.
And the other thing I've struggled with is how you can put that into Sitecore's capabilities, such as personalization and testing.
So as you saw, we fed that information back into the contacts database, basically. So knowing that the user is the same both on Sitecore and on Facebook, using the email, because that was the simplest version, we started triggering goals into Sitecore, and then using those goals we can personalize on what we want. So if they're asking questions in regards to water quality, then we've put in goals against water quality, and therefore we're personalizing against water quality. Yeah.
Excuse me, the question. Do I understand it right that I can kind of publish a service or publish something which integrates with Alexa that somebody can ask a question about a particular brand without them having to have an app first? Or
well, there is so the one that you just saw here is a test one, so it's only on my account. There is privacy policy information that you need to put in before when you submit the skill, and they go through a check to make sure that brand is the one that's promoting that Alexa skill.
What if it was like, where can I buy ice skates in Holland or something like that?
But that is the skill that you're asking that to Alexa,
yeah.
And Alexa will use a a Bing search or a Google search to do that search. So it's not Alexa itself, it's the skill that does the search for it. So it would use the book.
Everybody fighting over a particular phrase or something like that.
Well, that's why, I don't know if you've noticed, but I asked Alexa, ask Habitat, which is my skill, that question.
Okay.
So even when you play music on Alexa, you say, play music on Spotify, so it knows that that is the application that it needs to use.
Thanks.
Anything else?
I'd like to know a little bit more about the retraining
The retraining itself.
of the bot.
Yeah, so there is one problem with it right now with version 3 where, not with the test itself. So data that I'm uploading metadata against it and it's putting in the GUI for Sitecore. If I try and publish from here, it overrides it. So it needs to be a one-way stream constantly. You can't manage it from both ends. But to test this, you've got the app itself here. You can either add it to the metadata itself, but if I ask hi, which is not a good match, I can add what suggestions are, or if I can add alternative phrasing for that question. And with this knowledge, it updates the knowledge base itself, and then it will use that to go down the line.
Were you saying then that if you do that at the moment, it'll overwrite those IDs and stuff that you're pushing out?
Yeah. According to our Microsoft MVP, it's being worked on though. Right now it's a one-way stream. You can only manage it either through here or through your application through Sitecore. Because if I save and retain here, it clears out my metadata because it does not know about it. The framework does not know about it.
So you mentioned personalization, no? It would be nice to provide the answer that you want based on the interaction that the user has been doing with the chat.
Yes.
But the problem is that you have to build this custom because it's the layer that is serving the response that is deciding what you're actually providing.
Yes, so when we talked about personalization there, I guess it was more about having that specific user journey that you are tailoring for, and that you're tailored that. Well,
Custom.
no, you don't need to build a custom because it's the set of questions. If you're using let's say you have a live chat, it's the set of questions that you are using. So if I'm asking for my next tube, there are only a set of questions that you can ask, and they should be, tailored for that kind of user.
But from a Sitecore perspective, you have a list of questions, or you have a hierarchy.
Yes. Well, you can. So
They are all of the same plan. They are not related to each other.
No, they're not related to each other. So this is just a generic bot that is asking about Habitat.
So how can you then provide the answer that you want based on the question that you receive?
Well, if you've got a whole knowledge base that should cover everything, there is a content element to it, because obviously you need to provide all the answers back to what users might ask. Not the different permutations, but you should be building a user journey as you would do as a website, but as a flow. So what are the kind of questions that users can ask here, and what are the limitations of the bot? I've seen some people online that have now put in place more of a handoff to then have an actual person answering them. So if you look at the Just Eat model, that bot that talks there, that you speak there if you want to put a complaint, that is a chatbot. That's just using the Q&A maker to answer back on what is happening. Once it reaches a level that it can't answer back, it takes the conversation and hands it off to an actual person to keep on answering on that. So that's why we say, take the simplest task and try and...
Yeah, but okay, that's fine. I mean, I can always see that you have an answer and you provide the question. You cannot determine what the next answer would be based on the question before. Because Sitecore will always match your content.
So you can, if you use form flow, but again, it is work on you, so where you design what a conversation might be structured in. Because you might say, I have a problem with my sink. The bot might ask you, what is your location next, always. So maybe you can tailor the bot to always ask that at the first get-go. So you know that the next question is going to be my postcode.
You're cheap. Anyway.
Is that all questions? Brilliant. If you want to ask Dan any more questions after that, then obviously feel free to come and find him. But I don't want to embarrass Dan, but that was his first presentation that he's done to the community, and I thought it was fantastic. So a big round of applause.